Dear listeners, I welcome you to my channel. Leave your comments and impressions, I value your opinion. The soft, rhythmic breath of the ocean whispered through the air, a stark contrast to the turmoil twisting inside me. Wrapped in the comforting darkness, my mind had been adrift in the shallow sleep of the unfamiliar until the absence beside me dragged me into wakefulness. I turned, expecting to find Marissa there, her hair a golden cascade on her pillow. But instead, my hand met the cold, vacant sheets. Heart hammering, I sat up. Our tent, cozy and intimate when we crawled into bed, now felt cavernous and eerily silent. I glanced at my watch, 2:17 a.m. She never woke up this early. A knot of anxiety tightened in my stomach. Marissa. My voice was a whisper, lost against the sounds of the night. No answer. I grabbed a flashlight and unzipped the tent, the cool night air brushing against my skin. The camp was still. The other tents like silent sentinels under the moon's pale gaze, except one. Laughter, low and muffled, filtered through the fabric of Jenna and Mark's tent, a few sites over. The noise was soft, but unmistakable. My breath caught in my throat as the laughter was joined by a familiar giggle, Marissa's. A chill ran down my spine, not from the night air, but from the realization of what I was hearing. I padded across the grass, each step heavier than the last. My mind raced, piecing together the fragments of doubt and the too many late nights Marissa had spent at the office. The closer I got, the clearer the sounds became. There were definitely more than two voices intertwining in that cramped space. Anger surged through me, hot and blinding. I should confront them, storm in and expose their betrayal. But something held me back. A cold, calculating part of my brain that whispered a different path, a harsher revenge. I retreated, the noises fading as I made my way back to our tent. My hands shook as I picked up my phone, its screen a harsh glare in the soft moonlight. Messages, emails, little digital snippets of life. Evidence, perhaps. I started with Marissa's, searching through to find anything that could hint at how long this had been going on. But as the digital pages scrolled past, a deeper plan began to form. One that wasn't just about confrontation, but about retribution. If Marissa wanted to play games, I could play them too, and better. I would need allies, proof, and a cool head. Laying back down, I turned my face to the side where Marissa should have been. The empty space next to me seemed to stretch endlessly, as vast and dark as the ocean outside. But I felt a spark inside me, fueled not just by betrayal, but by the thought of the coming storm. I would be the architect of their downfall, crafted so meticulously they wouldn't see it until they were already caught in the undercurrent. And as the first light of dawn began to pierce the horizon, a grim smile touched my lips. Let the games begin. As the early morning light filtered through the fabric of our tent, I slipped out of my sleeping bag, the chill of dawn clinging to my skin. Despite the sleepless night, my mind was unnervingly clear, a plan unfolding with each whispered wave breaking on the shore. I dressed quietly, pulling on a hoodie and jeans, and stepped out into the new day. The camp was quiet, everyone else still lost in slumber, unaware of the storm brewing just beneath the surface. I headed towards the communal fire pit, a central spot where I knew I could gather my thoughts. And later, my allies. As I approached, I saw that I wasn't the only early riser. Tom, Jenna's older brother and a known straight shooter, was stoking a dying fire, probably left over from last night. "Morning, Tom," I called out, my voice steadier than I felt. He glanced up, his brow furrowing slightly as he took in my likely disheveled appearance. "Hey, Alex. You're up early, rough night." "You could say that," I thought grimly. "Something like that. Mind if I join you?" "Not at all." He nodded towards a log opposite him. As I sat down, he continued, "Everything okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." I hesitated, gauging his trustworthy demeanor. If I was going to pull this off, I needed someone on my side, and Tom had always been fair. "I might have a problem, Tom, with Marissa." His expression shifted from concern to cautious interest. "Oh, what's going on?" I took a deep breath, the words tasting bitter as they left my lips. "I think she's cheating on me. With Mark. And maybe Jenna too. I heard them last night." Tom's eyes widened, then narrowed, his protective nature kicking in. "Are you sure? That's a heavy accusation." "I know what I heard, Tom. And I need to figure out what to do." I thought maybe I trailed off, hoping he'd pick up the thread. He leaned forward, his voice low. You want to catch them in the act? Get some proof? Exactly. But I need help. I can't do this alone. My voice was firm, the resolve crystallizing within me. Tom rubbed his chin, thinking it over. All right. I'm in. What's the plan? First, we gather evidence. I'll need to get into Jenna and Mark's tent when they're out. Can you keep a lookout? Consider it done. What about getting everyone else on our side? That comes next. Once we have proof, we confront them. Publicly, if we need to. My plan felt both thrilling and terrifying, a high-stakes game I never expected to play. Tom nodded, a fire of his own kindling in his eyes. You've got my support, Alex. Let's show them they picked the wrong people to mess with. As we talked through the details, the camp began to stir, the sound of zippers and morning greetings punctuating the air. Marissa returned to the tent just as I was finishing up with Tom. Her smile was cautious, her eyes searching mine for signs of last night's discovery. Morning, babe, she said, her voice too casual. You're up early. I forced a smile, my heart hardening against her. Couldn't sleep, just needed some fresh air. She nodded, seemingly relieved. Well, I'm going to make some coffee. Want some? Sure, I replied, watching as she walked away. Her ease only fueled my resolve. As she left, I turned back to the smoldering fire, the flames a mirror to my smoldering resolve. This was just the beginning. I wasn't just going to expose Marissa. I was going to dismantle everything she thought she could hide. And with Tom at my side, I felt the first real hope that I could actually pull this off. The game was on, and I was playing for keeps. The sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the camp as the morning unfolded with routine leisure. Breakfast chatter and the clink of utensils set a deceptively tranquil scene. I joined the others, keeping my demeanor light, my eyes scanning for any slip-up, any hint that could bolster my plan. Marissa, playing the part of the oblivious wife, handed me a steaming cup of coffee with a smile. Here you go, just how you like it. Thanks. I took the cup, our fingers brushing briefly, a pang of betrayal tightening in my chest. The warmth of the coffee did little to thaw the chill inside me. After breakfast, Marissa and Jenna announced a sudden plan to go hiking. We just want to explore a bit. You guys should relax here, Marissa said, her tone overly cheerful. I exchanged a glance with Tom, who subtly nodded. It was the perfect opportunity for the first part of our plan. As they disappeared down the trail, I turned to Tom. Okay, let's do this. We have about 2 hours, I'd say. They're heading towards the ridge trail, Tom calculated, checking his watch. I'll keep watch. You go in. Heart pounding, I made my way to Jenna and Mark's tent. The camp was quiet, most of the group lounging by the lake or napping after the morning's activities. I slipped inside the tent, my breath held tight in my chest. The interior was cramped and personal, a pang of guilt washing over me as I rummaged through their belongings. I found a small digital camera in a side pocket of Jenna's backpack. Flipping through the photos, I found what I dreaded and needed. Pictures of Marissa and Mark, more intimate than any friends should be, timestamped from last night. A soft noise outside startled me, and I quickly tucked the camera back. Peeking out, I saw it was just a squirrel scurrying by. I exhaled, my nerves frazzled. Exiting the tent, I met Tom by the fire pit. I found proof, I whispered, showing him the camera. His face hardened as he scrolled through the pictures. We need more than just pictures. We need something undeniable, he insisted. I know, but it's a start, I replied. We needed a plan to expose them publicly, but first, we have to get everyone on our side subtly. The day wore on, and I worked the crowd, pulling aside our closest friends, sharing my findings discreetly, gauging their reactions. Each conversation was a play of light and shadow, revealing just enough to enlist their support without showing my full hand. By the time Marissa and Jenna returned, flushed from their hike and laughing, the camp's atmosphere had shifted imperceptibly. There were fewer smiles directed their way, more questioning glances. Find anything interesting on the hike? I asked as they joined us, keeping my tone light. Just beautiful views and sore legs. Jenna replied, oblivious to the undercurrents. As the evening approached, Tom and I finalized our plans. Tonight, at the bonfire. We'll do it then, he said decisively. The bonfire that night was a flickering theater. As logs crackled and flames danced, the camp gathered around. I stood, my heart a drumbeat in my ears, the camera hidden in my pocket. Can I have everyone's attention? My voice was steady, bolder than I felt. Heads turned, conversations paused. Marissa's eyes met mine, a flicker of uncertainty in them. I think it's time we all knew the truth about some people here, I said, locking eyes with each of them. Pulling out the camera, I handed it to Tom, who projected the images onto a makeshift screen. The reaction was immediate and visceral. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. Marissa's face draining of color. Mark stood up, his chair scraping back violently. What is this? Alex, why? Marissa's voice cracked, her facade crumbling. Ask yourself why, I retorted, the hurt and anger lending force to my words. The fire blazed, a beacon of raw truths unveiled, as I stood resolute, the orchestrator of revelations, waiting to see how the pieces would fall in this game of shattered trust and broken bonds. The crackling bonfire cast an eerie glow on all the faces around me, illuminating the shock, betrayal, and a trace of understanding weaving through the crowd. Marissa stood frozen, her face a mask of disbelief that crumbled under the weight of her own actions. Alex, please, she started, her voice trembling, let me explain. There's nothing to explain. Mark interjected, his tone defensive, his gaze darting around the gathered group as if looking for an ally. But the shifting eyes and crossed arms in response told him he wouldn't find one. Jenna, silent till now, stood up. Her voice was cold, resolute. Mark, stop. We messed up. Alex, we never meant for you to get hurt. The murmurs around the fire grew louder, a mix of sympathy and censure filling the air. I looked around at the gathered faces, each one etched with varying degrees of judgment and pity. You know, I thought coming here would be a retreat, I said, my voice steady despite the tempest inside me. A place to reconnect, to build stronger bonds. But instead, I find this betrayal. The fire crackled, a poignant pause as I gathered my thoughts. What I don't understand is why. Why lie? Why deceive? Was it worth it? Marissa's eyes met mine, filled with tears. It was a mistake, she sobbed. I was confused, feeling distant. It never meant anything. I shook my head, the sorrow and rage mingling into a bitter concoction. It meant something to me. Trust meant something to me. Tom stepped beside me, placing a supportive hand on my shoulder. What do we do now, Alex? He asked, his voice low, almost drowned out by the fire's roar. The crowd's anticipation was palpable, waiting for my verdict like I was a judge at the final sentencing. I knew they expected fury. A demand for Marissa and her cohorts to leave. Perhaps some dramatic gesture that would sear this night into everyone's memory. But as I stood there feeling the heat from the flames and the cold from the betrayals, an idea formed, clear and surprising even to myself. I want everyone to know, I began, my voice carrying over the crackles and whispers, that while this betrayal cuts deep, revenge won't heal us, nor will holding on to anger. I paused, the silence now complete, every eye on me. We came here as friends, and will leave as friends. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone deserves a chance to make it right. A collective breath seemed to be released around the fire. Marissa, tears streaming down her face, stepped forward. Alex, I won't say this lightly, Marissa. Your actions hurt me deeply, but I won't be defined by that pain. None of us should be. Let's use this as a lesson. Not just about trust, but about forgiveness. The surprise was evident. It rippled through the group like a wave. Jenna and Mark exchanged looks, their expressions softening. As the evening wore on, conversations blossomed around the fire. Apologies were made, with tentative steps toward reconciliation. I spoke with each of my friends, including Marissa, setting boundaries and expressing my pain, but also my hope for healing. Later, as the fire died down to glowing embers and people began to drift off to their tents, Tom lingered behind with me. Did you plan this? The forgiveness part? He asked, an eyebrow raised in half amusement, half awe. No. I admitted, a tired smile playing on my lips. But I realized revenge would only extend the pain, not end it. This way, we all get a chance to grow. Tom nodded, his gaze reflective. That's real strength, Alex. Not many would have the courage to choose this path. As the last of the embers flickered out, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The night air wasn't as cold, and the stars seemed a little brighter. Forgiveness wasn't just a gift to them. It was a gift to myself. A way to mend and move forward, not with ashes, but with hope.